No problem. I'm ready for you.
I'm gonna turn us down a little bit. Oh, I have to squat all the way on my legs are sore.
It's Christina.
You guys are doing awesome. I can't wait to hear how
Hi,
everything is coming together. And my husband,
Diana.
should I turn? Can you turn the volume down?
It's on the TV.
You have to squat all the way.
Well, it's this camera.
I know.
Well, just tip the camera up.
Oh well.
Hi, Deanne. Hi, Daly. Hi, Derek. Oh my gosh, all these familiar faces.
See if I can do this.
Are you casting me on a TV?
Yes. It's your it's your importance.
Well, I feel honored. I feel very, very honored.
It's just gonna be awkward. It's fine. It's fine. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I can hear you okay.
Perfect.
Hey, Aura. Will you listen to this meeting and take notes?
Amanda, have you met Dolan and everybody, all the Jaggers?
No, I haven't. I see
All right,
some.
this is Dolan right here. Dolan, that's Amanda. And have you met Christy?
Hi, Christy.
Hello. And then you've met Derek, maybe. You know
Hardly recognize him with that mustache.
And then you know Matt.
I've seen you with it. I've seen some pictures, but
Yeah, should I keep it? Or does it need to go?
no. You can pull off a mustache.
The question.
You can pull off a mustache.
I think Tony.
It's his Burt Reynolds look.
Hey.
Hey,
Hi,
Brandon.
Hunter.
How we doing, Amanda?
Oh my gosh.
We're so waiting on
My old stomping grounds. This is wonderful. Hi, Danielle. I'm good.
And I can copy that. I'm in proud.
We got Matt in Kansas City.
Yes.
Hello.
Oh, Jesus.
Hello.
Hi, Matt.
Matt, man, a few words and much action.
Hello.
And is it Nolan?
Dolan.
Nolan. Okay, you guys are GAs?
D like the Filippo, Dolan.
Do you like
Dolan. Okay.
Like dollars, guys.
I went straight dog. That's $1 I mean.
We are the dogs today, to be honest.
I know slow.
That's all right.
I got a
Like having a pizza party?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you're an hour ahead of us.
Yeah, we just ate lunch.
Yeah, we're trying to
Do it all. I know how Mondays are.
Yes. All the things, Amanda, all the things.
All right, Tony. Well, where do you want me to start? I mean, you kind of.
Right. I think he wants you to start with.
So, want to start off. Basically, let me just make a announcement first, which is save your questions, write them down to the end, or we won't get past the first 2 points. I already know. So, we're gonna listen, and then at the end, you guys have time to ask some questions, and then we're gonna go into our meeting and have our discussions in terms of implementation. Okay, so Amanda, really, number one, thank you. We miss you, we appreciate you, and we're proud of you.
I miss you guys too.
All of those things. We are discussing a trip out there, so I'll keep you posted on that. And then I know we're going to see you in Mexico.
Yes.
So that'll be fun. So let me just support Amanda's position in terms of what they're getting done and the awesomeness that is happening in Tampa. So let's start with recruiting. Her code objective is like 9, and you're consistently getting in the teens. So
Well, it's actually 10 now.
oh, they moved it up on your call. That's because you're in the teens. So,
but we got 20 last month.
So that just speaks to, and you don't have a temp license, right? They're all permanent. Okay, that's impressive. So what I want to talk about is that process, and because that is what then leads to what I see in your field numbers, which is 150 something closed cases already for the year. As an agency, everybody has the mentality and really the numbers to back up. They're after one closed case every week, every person in your agency, right? So all of this starts with the recruiting piece, though. That's what's fed into that field piece. So let's start with walking through your interview process, which is the set. So what are you doing to generate sets for the agency, and what are your ADs and GAs doing to generate sets for the agency?
Okay, so I mean, obviously I came from your guys' agency, and with the amount of leaders, and you guys hear it at, you know, when you go to the Leadership Academy, you want to hire weekly to your management count. So I don't know how many essays you guys have or how many, you know, GAs total, but like total. So like the agency, I don't know what the number is. Let's say it's 15. Then at a bare ass minimum, you need 15 hires. But these are people like not just code to code, you know, but like real, if you can make everything like legitimate people, you're in training class for your management count, you're good. Now, as ADs, you know, obviously to max out your bonus, you need 6 codes a month. Well, there's a reason for that because the numbers are, you know, it takes 4 hires to code 1, and then it takes 4 codes to grow 1 submitter. Okay, so if that's the case, then if you need essentially 6 codes to get 150% bonus, which I wouldn't plan for anything other than that, then you need 6 hires a week, right? 4 weeks in a month. That'll get you your 6 codes, right? And just I would get with Deanne, but like tracking and actually knowing, like Diana, for example, how many finals you can do in a week. And then of those finals, how many are actually that are set, and then how many are actually showing. And then the ones that show, how many hires do you actually get? Because like, obviously, Tony and I being AOs, we turn in a recruiting workbook to our home office. So everything for the agency, but I think it's important for you guys as managers to know your own numbers, because if you don't, you're kind of riding blind. So like, but then also, you know, you want to invest in recruiting, like you want to have ownership. And something that's really helped kind of explode the ownership in this agency is, you know how PRs, that's, you know, if you have a PR, they grow with you. Like if you become an AD, your PRs go with you, right? Like those are your people that you help build your own team. Well, if you're paying for a vendor, why would it not be the same thing, right? So like, if you're in that situation where I don't know a lot of people, or like PRs is really uncomfortable or tough for me, you know, which I had felt that same way, then invest in a vendor. And it doesn't have to be like the most expensive vendor or like all the money in the world. Cause you know, I know they talk about with agency directors investing all this money, which you just do what you can, figure out what that is. But I'm telling you, if you invest in it, you're building your own team, you're going to explode tenfold. And something they did at the AO meeting is, you know, based off of if you did get 6 hires every month for the course of all last year, for those of you guys that were agency directors last year, how much money and bonus money would you actually earn, right? Like had you been at 150%, maybe you were at 150% for the whole year, but if you're, that's going to look like if you're making, Tim Knuckles did it, and I guess one of his ADs made 143,000 just being at 150% bonus, and he invested 43,000 in recruiting. So yeah, you're investing, which is a lot of money. I get that. Okay. But you're investing 43,000 to get 143,000 of bonus money. You know what I mean? So, and you're growing your agency. And obviously as you grow, it does get easier because you're not doing it all alone. Okay. So, you know, the point being, something in this agency is the ownership and vendors is like, those are your people. And if you can track your return on investment, and guys, I got the whole virtual recruiting, which we'll dig into the semantics of it, but like, I got all that because of Tony, you know, like how you guys have it set up. And I don't know if maybe we took it to the next level. I'm not really sure, but I'll kind of tell you what we did with it. But there's an advantage, I think, of virtual recruiting. which is basically like no in-person CLBs. Like now you guys don't do in-person CLBs, right? Or are you?
No, it's.
Okay, so then I'm not. Okay, because if I was on stage talking to a leader, I'd be like, if you're doing in person, keep doing what you're doing. Just use this to add to it. But you guys aren't doing it anyways. I just think it's a waste of time. And I don't need to sell you on that. I just think that like you book all these people and only 25% of them show, you're losing 75% of them right there. And then you were calling them back for final. So long story short, you know, how we're doing it is all virtual recruiting, which we have our CLB, right? So Tony has his CLB. And essentially, I don't really care if people watch the CLB ahead of time. And I'll kind of talk to you about that here in a second. But whatever vendors you're recruiting for, okay, or using, I should say, like I think the best is just getting people to apply to a job posting. Now, for us, like obviously I'm trying to grow leadership, so I'm just going to tell you what we're doing, but everything's geared towards leadership. So entry-level management and training. Like those are our job postings. And we really in our final go over that career path because we are a new office, but still like you guys can just change that verbiage to the opportunity that's there in St. Louis. So basically you get candidates to apply to whatever job ads, whether that be Job Case. I don't know if you guys are using that, or I don't know if Tauru puts job ads out there or whatever, but you get candidates and then you just book them for finals. Okay. But you want your schedule. Like for me, I do interviews Tuesday through Friday. And my first one, which I have some time blocks blocked out like for training class and stuff, but basically from 8:30 to 4 every half hour, because there's going to be a ratio, right? Show ratio. But every half hour, I want to do a final. Okay. Now candidates come in and I have Shay, who's my quality manager, and she's at the front desk. So whoever's at your front desk, oh, you're here for your interview with Tony. And basically the next question she asks is, okay, great. We'll get you all set up with Tony here in a little bit. But before we do, did you get a chance to watch our company overview entirely? And this is,
Hey, can I get with you a little bit?
Yeah.
You're busy, aren't you?
I'm on St. Louis. Well, as soon as I'm done.
All
Yeah.
right, sounds
Yeah.
good.
I'm on with St. Louis, I should say. Everybody knows. So anyway, she asks, have you watched our company overview entirely where it talks about, Tony's background and the agency and what we do here? And you can kind of tell if people have watched it or not. If they have watched it ahead of time, great. But if they don't, I don't really care, because basically, let's say they don't, then she goes, okay, before you meet with Tony, what we're going to do is I'm going to have you watch our company overview. It's about 20 minutes long. It's going to, like, again, talk about his background and what we do here as far as an agency. And you're going to feel a lot more prepared for your interview, because they are walking in. They just applied for a job ad. We booked them for a final. They don't really know too much about the job, and the career entirely. Like obviously the job posting has a little bit of something, but we have them watch the company overview. What's great about that is back in the day with in-person CLBs, remember how people would do roll-ins? And anybody who, wants absolutely nothing to do with sales or 1099 or whatever, okay, they're not a good fit anyways. Still glad they came in. They're open, but they're obviously not a good fit, right? Them watching that career overview ahead of time does all of that. So like, and you don't have too many people walk out, but you will. Like, you're not even wasting your time, so you don't miss a beat with it. Okay. But they watch that company overview. They fill out the personality profile at the same time, and then after that, then we roll them into a final. And we do the final from start to finish, and we hire them on the spot. So that's essentially what we do. Huh?
What's your percentage of finals in person versus Zoom?
Probably 75%. So I highly suggest that you do in-person finals as much as you possibly can. However, like we're in the process of opening up a satellite an hour and a half, 2 hours away. And then obviously like the Kansas City folks or whatever, if Tony, you're here in St. Louis, that's impossible. We don't want them to drive. So then you would just do Zoom. But in that case, then what my recruiting coordinator, my callers do, is they send them the Zoom link, and on the phone call to solidify, hey, before you meet with Tony on Zoom, we want you to watch this company overview. And then same thing, like when Tony or whoever does the final interview, hey, did you watch the company overview? You might still have some people that didn't on Zoom, but obviously if we send it in an email with that interview solidification, like they can watch it whenever they want. They can watch it 10 minutes before the interview. They can watch it at midnight when they can't sleep, whatever, it doesn't matter. They have that link and they can watch it, which I kind of like. And as long as they watch it, you know, you can do a final like you all, you know, but you're able to do so many more finals. And I mean, that's honestly what we're doing. But for me, vendors wise, we're getting a ton of hires from Maya. I know you guys didn't, you know, have that much success, I guess, with it. But for us, like obviously I found them and I've got a, you know, obviously a really good, strong relationship. Like I call them with anything. But what I have learned with Maya is we run all of our RMS through, we get these jot forms, and the trick with Maya or job case or whatever, or anything that's getting you candidates, okay? It's kind of like when you're out in the field prospecting and you get a decision maker and he can't meet with you on the spot. You're not booking that appointment for the following week, right? You're going to try to book that appointment within 48 hours, or you're trying to do it on the spot. Like the quicker you can get these candidates in for a final, the higher likelihood they're actually going to show up and you're going to hire them. These people are actively looking for careers. So they fill out the jot form. The moment they fill it out, within a couple hours, they need to get a phone call to book them in for a final. And that final needs to be like our best show ratio is when they are booked like the next day or within 48 hours, which I mean, maybe you guys already know that, but the same thing with Maya. The problem, because I've been using it almost a year, is if you let those jot forms go cold a couple days before they get booked, the show ratio is kind of crap on them, to be honest. And I was like racking my mind around, but now that like it's active, we know when the resumes go through, it does all the hard work. We now have interested candidates. We call them, book them for a final. Our show ratio goes way up. I'm with St. Louis. You want to say hi?
This is Mallory. I feel like that's
This is Shay. Shay came from St. Louis. So
Go get with John and Mal and okay. Sorry.
no, you're fine. Did you get the text about Justin?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Hey, Shay. Proud.
Yeah. Mallory's gonna pop her head in and say hi too. I told her to.
Awesome.
But anyways, just those jot forms, like, and it doesn't matter if it's Maya or not, just don't let it go. And same thing for job case. If you're putting it on job case, like the next day you'll see you have, like if it's a new job case, you might get, and I don't know what you guys will get, but like 50 to 100 candidates, they need called the next day. Don't let, and I mean, I would advise that with any of your vendors is like, that's something I try to monitor of like, how long has it been from when we got them to we actually get them booked. And that's going to help with your show ratio.
So who's calling and booking off the job forms? Are the ADs, just recruiters?
We have callers. So I have one full-time hiring manager, which would be essentially what Deanne is, I'm assuming, unless you've taken on a new title, but kind of managing all the data and like making sure all this is running smoothly. Okay. So I have somebody full-time that does that. And then we have 2 callers right now, and we have 2 other ones that are on standby. They work part-time. So one of my callers works Monday through Thursday from 8 to 5. And then my other caller works Monday through Friday, 9 to 2, because that's just what allows for, it's a part-time position, but it's hourly. And how we pay them is, and Tampa's a little bit more expensive, I think, cost of living than St. Louis, but we pay them $15 an hour. Okay. And then if their show ratio is above 50%, then it's $16 an hour. If their show ratio is above 60%, then it's 17, and it kind of goes up from there. So you got to incentivize, because all we care about is just like book them for finals and get them to show up. Right. So, but here's how my callers, I don't pay for the callers. I pay for my full-time recruiting coordinator as agency owner. The callers are split between agency directors and GAs. Okay. And that's to keep it so that you guys can spend your time in the field. Like you pay for a vendor, just something like job ads that get you a candidate. And then you pay for a couple hours or however many hours you need to book up a day of finals or, book up your AD's day of finals. And so you're splitting that cost. It's not like, for example, like Diana would need her own caller. Like Diana and Derek can split the caller, or Hunter and Derek can split a caller, right? And Derek can pay 12 hours and Hunter can pay 12, whatever the case may be. I mean, I don't know. That's what we do here. So like Mallory and John are my two worksite ADs. John pays the caller for 8 hours a week because that's all he needs right now. And then Mallory pays 3 solid days for her caller. Okay. And then my other one, I have a GA that she's covering the whole thing. But eventually what I've told them is like, when you're an AD, eventually you want to have so many candidates in your time that like you have your own caller and basically you show up and all you're doing is final after final after final. And which, you want to, because then that's going to get you, your hires. And then as far as like time allotted, if you're a new AD, then, or like a GA getting involved with finals, okay? So I'm throwing a lot at you guys. I'm just trying to get it all in.
Good, bring it on.
But, so we're in the office on Monday. We're in the field on Friday. And the people that are here on Friday is, GAs. So they can certify people out of classroom training. And then anybody who isn't field certified, they do come in on Friday. We recertify them until they're field certified, the GAs and the ADs. The GAs get involved with finals on Friday. So it starts on Friday. And if you're a new AD, you're basically doing finals all day Friday. And the reason I like Friday or Thursday or Wednesday is because, again, the show ratio for finals are going to be the highest if they're booked the next day. So like when I was in St. Louis, I did finals on Tuesday. Probably a bad idea because you have like my Tuesday's already booked up with finals right now, but a lot of them were booked last week. And Tuesday, I already know, and we're going to confirm them and remind them and all this kind of stuff. But Tuesday, the show ratio is just lower. So if we have these callers, I know Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday are going to be the highest show ratio. So if you're going to take a day out of the field, you want to have, a good ratio there. So my suggestion is start with Fridays, and then every GA on your team, add a day. So like if you just have one GA, depending on, how involved, like obviously there can be audibles to this, but Friday, and then if you get a second GA, then you got Thursday and Friday. And then if you have 3 GAs, then it would be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But then your GAs are like, for us, it just works this way where GAs are here on Friday. So now we can train them on interviews. We can get them involved in between their training duties and everything else. And it's kind of been like a smooth transition because now I have 2 more GAs that are about to be promoted this second quarter to ADs, but they're already getting involved with finals. So that's great. And we need it because I'm like, sweet, I can just, book up more, and then we can keep up with the hiring if I have their help. Because if for us right now, like all last year, just so you guys know, I did pretty much all of the hiring. Like Mallory did a little bit at the end, but we like divided and conquered. Like I did the hiring, she did the field stuff, right? Well, that worked well for us, and we developed another AD. Well, now going into this year, I told them I cannot keep up with as many hires. Like once you promote an essay, they want somebody in their car, right? And we already know if somebody's not in their car, then the likelihood, like they just don't perform, right? They're excited. They want to build a team, and everybody does better when somebody's with them. So if you have too much downtime, so that was my worry is I'm like, okay, we're starting to grow. But if I can't keep enough people in all these essays cars, it's going to hurt them, obviously, and we're not going to get max out, their potential, right? So, so what we did starting this the beginning of this year is we just started with 5. So like Mallory was responsible for 5 hires a week. John was responsible for 5. So that's 10 hires right there. And then if I can maintain what I'm doing, which last year I was getting 10 to 12 hires just myself, but obviously that's Tuesday through Friday, right? That'll maintain what we need to do. But now I'm adding 2 more ADs. If they can just do 5 and 5, right? So that'll get us to 30, 25 to 30, right? And obviously we're going to open up a satellite, but we're going to have enough hiring happening for it to maintain the growth that we're having. So that's kind of our plan there with that. And I know I just got done talking about you need 6 in order to get 6 codes. But for us, it was like, okay, if you can only dedicate 1 day, let's try to get 5 hires a day. You know, let's just start there and then we can up it. Once you have 2 days, now it's a lot easier to get 6 to 8 hires, if that makes any sense. But it needs to be like for me with my ADs, I'm like 5 is a bare ass minimum. You know, if you're not getting, and it just depends on how much time you're allotting every week to allow that to happen. But, you know, if you want to grow, and it's kind of a mindset shift of like, yeah, we need production every single week. But if we don't have, like when they say recruiting fixes everything, I'm going to tell you, like, it's kind of amazing. That's the kind of the start of why we're having so much growth here in Tampa, is that like failure was not an option moving down here to Tampa and getting this all started. So everyone, and I talked to multiple AOs, and, you know, obviously I've had Tony in my corner, but it's like, everybody was like, just fire hose on recruiting, just make sure everything's focused on recruiting and like the production will come. And it's just kind of shocking that that's like actually what happens versus like, and obviously I came from St. Louis, but that was like a hard mindset. Like when I was in St. Louis, I was always focused on production too. And I know if you guys are there, it's just a mindset shift. And I'm telling you, when you prioritize recruiting more than production, the production will come. Obviously, the more bodies you have out there, you know, like the training will happen, your essays will start identifying themselves, the leadership, especially as you're doing your finals, you're talking about the opportunity, the growth, you know, you're selling them on the opportunity there in St. Louis, which is what's happened to you guys, right? Like, you know, this is a life-changing opportunity. And we want to see other people be successful. So if we talk about that and we just get people in, you know, now the people that like the top 10 percenters are going to, you know, rise up anyways, you know, and then you can work on the training and developing and all that kind of stuff. But it does all start from recruiting. So.
That's awesome information. We've got a lot of good notes. Do you want to add to that, Amanda? And then if not, I'm going to take you to the now you've hired them, that where we go from there in the hiring process into, you know, what are your ADs doing in the hiring process, and then into pipeline management and what that looks like.
Okay, so pipeline for me, I'm like anal about it. Okay. So, and again, I handled most of the hiring, but I knew if I didn't have like real people coming through the hiring process, then what's the point of spending all this money on recruiting? Right. And like,
right. You have no temps in, so
no,
everybody has to make their way through the entire study process and testing. So yeah.
Yeah. And here's the thing that, again, it's just an idea. Well, let me back up. Okay. So we hire them. Okay. And I think once you offer them the position and they accept, walking them through like what to expect next through the pipe, like when is the first day? So now that I've hired them, and this is how I offer them the position. I basically say, hey, you're sharp, you're professional. I can see you being very well received by business owners. I can see you being very well received by employees. And I'll like customize it based off their own like true qualities. Okay. Compliment, you know, I mean, why do you want to hire them? Right. I go over that. So I think I'm good. I would love to work with you. I would love for you to be a part of this team. And so I'm going to officially offer you the position. Congratulations. And part of that offer is, you know, we're going to help you through this licensing process as much as we possibly can. Like, you're not going to be off on an island. And if you accept the position, then what we need to do is come up with a schedule of a potential start date. And then the next step is get you set up with your study program today. Okay. So what do you think? And then they're like, you know, yeah, like I'd love to work with you, and don't get me wrong, I still have some, if people have to talk to their spouse or whatever, that's no problem, right? Then those are sometimes hires that trickle into the following week. I don't count them obviously as a hire until they've actually paid for their study course, okay? But once they accept the position, then I'm like, okay, I kind of take a moment and I just congratulate them. Like, let it sink in a little bit, because keep in mind, we're hiring them on the spot. So, wow, I'm so excited for you. Like, I can't wait for you to meet this team. Oh my God. And sometimes I can already see whose team I want them on, and again, if it's your vendors, you can kind of like brag on your people, like, oh, you're going to work with Christy or Danielle or whoever. And, I think that your personality is going to fit perfect with this. Like, just take a moment, not like 10 minutes, but just a minute or two. Okay, well, we got to come up with a potential start date. So I pull up a calendar, and I go over, okay, it's going to take you a solid week to get through this study program. Like, I've had people get it done in a weekend, but that's like jam-packed. It's going to take you a solid 30, 40 hours to get through this study program. Most people get it done to 7 to 10 days. So why don't we take next week to study, the week after that to take your test and apply for your license? And why don't we have your start date be this date here? And then they agree to it. Now, let's say you're hiring somebody that's working, hey, I know you're working full time. What are your hours? You got to put your 2 weeks in, talk to them about it, like realistically. Okay, how many hours, like you got little kids, like could you dedicate to this? Well, let's give you 2 weeks to study. You put your 2 weeks in, then this week you take your test, and then this is your start date. But whatever it is, they've agreed to when they're starting. And then you have that on your calendar. Okay. I think that's an important piece. And then after that, before I go into the study program, I go, okay, well, we're going to get you set up with a study program. But while you're studying, you're not just figuring all this out by yourself. You're very much connected to me. So like last year, just so you guys know, I did my own, and I still do, I do pipeline management still as agency owner. And I think that it's so crucial. And Tony, I'm not saying you have to do you have people, but but the point being, if like, for example, like Diane, if you're investing in a recruiting vendor, my suggestion is like, I wouldn't hand that off until you actually are getting a rate of return. Like you see these people coming through as real hires because you're paying for them, right? And they're like physical bodies here. And then once you have like a well-oiled machine, then I would say maybe like offset that to one of your callers or like, whoever would manage that pipeline. But I think if you hire them and then you are the consistent person that they know, that they've bought into, and you manage the pipeline, it makes all the difference in the world. At one point last year, I was getting 50% people through the study course. Now we have so many, it's a little bit less than that. I'm working on it. So I have very much areas of improvement. But I think it's possible. Okay. And because like, think about it. If like Derek, you hire somebody and you're the one checking in with them, it's a consistent message. And you're sitting there at the final saying, Excel's going to send me your updates. So like that Excel, are you guys on Excel? Are you using something else?
We're using ExamFX. Right? ExamFX now. We're trying to get away from 80 Banker because the reporting situation for the concierge program.
Well, I don't think it really matters, but I'm assuming ExamFX, does they give you?
They'll send a report. They have a tracking report.
But just get like all the managers on that so they can see their people's progress. And what I did, and guys, like as agency owner, hair on fire all the time, okay? Hot mess over here sometimes, as Diane. Not really, okay. But so when you manage
Controlled
your
chaos.
device, huh?
Said it's controlled chaos.
Yes,
controlled.
it is controlled. It's obviously working. So,
It
but
is working.
what I would do is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, first thing in the morning, just like reach out to everybody in the pipeline. And so for me, like literally I would reach out to them from 7:30 to, it would take me like 40 minutes. But then I just do the pipeline before anything else. And I get when you guys have early enrollments and all this, that might be tough, but just, if you can, first thing in the morning, then you can go on about your busy day and everybody's touched base with. But you do that 3 days a week, you're going to see a lot more people come through. So the messaging is this: you do the calendar, you have your start date, and then you say, okay, while you're studying, I'm going to be cheering you on and I'm going to send you everything you need to get through this licensing process. So Excel for us, or ExamFX, sends me updates on your progress. So tell them, I'm going to be able to see your progress. I'm going to be cheering you on. Once I see you are 60% through that study program, I'm going to go ahead and send you instructions to get your test booked. Okay. Once you pass your test, I'm going to send you instructions to apply for your license. So you don't have to figure any of that out. I'm going to be walking you through that whole process all next week. And then once you apply for your license, and in Florida, we have to get them fingerprinted, then we'll set up, then we'll set up your direct deposit, which is obviously e-docking them, your company email, and everything that you need to know for your first day of training class. Okay. And I think talking them through that, and then the reality is you actually are doing all those things, it just keeps them so they feel very much like they're hired, and not like it's easy for them to bail. Like they can tell you're counting on them, you're hiring them for a reason. They should feel special because, everybody's special, obviously, that we want to be a part of the agency, and then we follow through on that. So I walk them through all of that. Then I say, okay, well, let's get you set up with your study course before you leave. And I do physically set them up with the study course, although my full-time hiring manager will now, and I know for you guys, I think Deanne takes that over. I'm not really sure. But at that point, then you would hand them off to Deanne, or for us, it's Chris. So I would hand off, to set them up with the course. And then I send them a welcome text. So I have a hiring packet we send back or send home with them. And then I send them a text that's like, welcome to the team. So excited for your new career. Before they leave, I say, I'm going to go ahead and text you because I'm going to be communicating with you all next week. So I want you to have my personal cell phone number. Again, they need to feel very much like obviously connected to you. And I think, yes, that's very detailed and slightly anal, but I think that makes all the difference in the world. Now, side note, going to the new spring AO meeting and just things that we're going to implement. I haven't done it yet, but we are going to toy with having them start the study program and book their test at the hire, because that's been recommended to me. We have not done it yet, so I can give you guys a follow-up on how that's going for us. The way I see it is, what's the worst case scenario?
I said we've been doing it the last 2 weeks and it's not been my favorite. So I'm anxious to see what you have to say off of it.
Yeah, let's see how
Because I'm not excited about how the results are.
We'll compare notes.
I just think we are hiring them on the spot, so it's a little bit much to be like, and for us, it's $49 and $44. So they're like, I'm getting people fine setting up with a study program for $49, but I don't know. In the worst case, the way I see it is I'm going to test it because Phil Bronigen's like, guys, that'll help you get more people through the pipeline because they're already committed more. But, I figure the worst case is, hey, I don't want to do both, or you can kind of see how committed they are maybe if they do. So I don't know, but I'm going to test it, but just heads up on that. So no, we're not currently doing it, but we're going to play around with it. And then what else? So that's kind of the pipeline. So for now, Mallory's managing her own pipeline. John's managing her own pipeline. And then I'm still managing mine right now, but I'm slowly, because again, like I said, I've been a little micromanaging with it all. Offsetting that to my new hiring coordinator. So, but I just think with your own vendors, I think that's important because especially if you track your own data, you'll be able to see your own return on investment. of like, okay, how many hires did I get this week? Okay, of these hires, how many am I actually getting every week in training class? Like it should be spitting out something, right? And then you can kind of track it from there. I mean, I think that's pretty much it for pipeline.
So on pipeline, I mean, obviously it's working to your point. 35 codes in the last 2 months, 20 codes last month, 15 the prior month, in a perm state. So those are all, to visit your math on the 6 hires versus 5 hires for an AD per week. The company's average hire to code is 4 to 1. So what you're saying there, and what you guys should take away is, if you have 6 hires as an AD at a 4 to 1 code ratio, how many weeks are in the month on average? 4, right? So a 4 to 1 hire to code ratio with 6 hires per week then translates to how many codes per month for you? 24, so it's 6 codes, right? So you would wind up with 6 codes for that month on a 4 to 1 hire to code ratio on an average of 6 hires. Right. So, and if you go after 5, you will wind up with 5. You bonus at 4, you're at 1.25, I think, at 5, and you're at 1.5 at 6, right? So shoot for 6. If you don't get 6 and you hit 5, you're still at 1.25. But that's how that math works out, that hire to code ratio.
And the other thing with that is it's going to take 4 codes to grow a submitter.
Yeah.
So like if you're not even getting 4 codes, because I think right now, isn't it 3 codes to break even on bonus?
Yeah, 3 codes for
So that's literally all you're doing for months. Like you're going to get lucky if your team actually grows. What you're going to do is just like,
So did you hear that? So you guys, let me just make sure you understand that math. So when you have 3 codes, you may get 100% bonus as an AD, but it takes 4 codes to grow 1 submitter for your team. So even when you get 3 codes in a month, your deficit in terms of your team growing. You need 4 codes to plus 1 your team in terms of submitting agent count in terms of growth. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Let's see. So I think that takes us through to pipeline. So now we're going to take a few minutes and then we'll open it up for some questions, Amanda. But so now they've gotten through the pipeline. They're going to training. Walk us through your classroom and field training for the first, call it 2 to 3 weeks for somebody.
okay. So, well, let me back up to the mindset on closing. Okay.
I like it. Yep.
Okay. So we had some cases down here, but not very many. And then obviously, taking over the little bit of cases that we did have, a lot of customer service issues. So we realized quite early on that like, okay, well, this isn't going to work for us here. So we have to close new cases, and it ends up being a blessing because once you break through the mindset change on like, it's all about new cases, which I know you guys know that, but then I think we just like, also, it's just so easy to like be enabled, if that makes any sense, right? Because like just being kind of real about it all. But here's the mindset is like, we started promoting people to like middle management and stuff. And the way our system is, like the whole training, everything we're training them on, it is meant for them to close a case every single week if it's done right, consistently. If it's done right. Now, here's the thing with my leadership team. I had a conversation with them. I go, guys, I've been there. Like first couple years at Tony's office, I'm telling you, it was like in my mind, I'm like, man, like if you don't believe you can close a case every single week, like if you don't even believe that you're capable of doing that, you're never going to do it. Right? So like it starts with just, you have to believe that you are capable of building the relationships with businesses. And here's the thing with our leads, right? I truly believe, because I believe in what we're doing, that every business that we talk to needs what we have, and so do the employees. And it's better off that they have us than not have us, right? Even if they have life insurance, it's just going to terminate more than likely. Or even if whatever the case may be, this doesn't cost the business anything. It creates tax savings. Employees appreciate it. That company's lucky for them to have you as a representative because you are going to do things with honesty, integrity, the right thing. If people need claims, you're going to be there for them. And it all comes down to representation, correct? Like anybody who's tried this before, it is the service. Like it's how the open enrollment was conducted and like how everybody was educated on benefits, or maybe somebody had a bad claim story or it was a big hassle for them. Well, that's all the representatives. So you guys have to understand they're very blessed to have you as, their representative. So first off, you have to believe that, okay, if we do this right, if I go out in the field, I can absolutely close every single week. Okay. And it starts with the supervisors, especially. Now, how do we close every single week? One, you have to have the activity. Okay. So like for us, and again, I know we used to come in on Fridays, so I don't know if you guys are still doing it. It doesn't matter if you do or don't, but I'm just going to speak on what we're doing here. So like once they're field certified and they're out on their own, they're in the field Tuesday through Friday. So they average 20 walk-ins a day. That's 80 walk-ins for the week. So it starts there, right? But honestly, we want quality over quantity. All I really care about is that everybody, for the most part, is giving 3 to 4 presentations, because out of training class, and I'll talk about the mindset with training class here in a second, out of training class, if they just follow our presentation verbatim and they just build rapport and the likability with the business owner, every 4 presentations, they should be closing 1. You give a presentation a day, you're going to be closing every single week, right? And if you don't have that experience, then you got to make it up with the walk-ins. Okay. So if you give 4 presentations as a brand new agent, you should be closing 1. But I truly believe once, you have follow-ups, okay, you are using the benefit fact sheet to your advantage, you're keeping it conversational, you're proactively beating objections, you're using the close per script verbatim, and you're closing every single time. Like we've got and you've like mastered those skills, right? Then it should be 1 and 3. And those of the 3 presentations that you're giving and you're closing 1, right? The other 3 are not no's. They're just follow-ups for later on, right? So that's how you go from closing 1 a week to 2 a week, because you should be on your 10 blocks coming in, and now you have your presentations not closed, your follow-up appointments to get the red light, green light, and all this type of stuff. So basically, the way our system is, guys, you got to believe first and lead from the front of like you, and that's got to be the messaging. Everybody should be closing 1 case a week, bare ass minimum. And once that changes, and like the essays are saying that to their, like everybody that's new coming through, it's just, that's the mindset. And then people really feel like, if I'm not closing this week, where's my area of opportunity? Is it my presentations? Is it when I'm booking appointments? Is it my DM conversion? Is it my walk-ins or whatever? And obviously we go over data on a weekly basis. So then you can work it backwards on like, why are you not closing every single week? But once we get people closing every single week, then it's obviously very, very consistent income. And that's what everybody wants anyways, right? So 1, it's a mindset of believing, not to repeat myself, bringing back memories, Diana. I always repeat myself. Let me just say it a different way.
Good point. You're emphasizing the point. You're revisiting
We're in
it.
a
It's good.
At least you're laughing about it.
Yeah, we're in the business of repeating ourselves, right?
Yes. So, but it starts with that. Okay. Now, when they get into training class, okay. And actually, no, it goes from when I hire them, and I'm talking about the income. Okay. We don't have re-enrollments. Better not say this too loud. Okay. Do consistently pay people, all the time. So, I mean, it's just the reality of what it is. But when I'm hiring them, I want them to understand we have a plan to get them consistent from the beginning. And I tell them, and no, it's not a guarantee, but it is meant for them to be very consistent. If you're coachable, willing to listen and learn, you should be partnering with businesses as quickly as your 2nd week here. So we do a week of classroom training. First week, the supervisor is going to take you out, and we do try to plan for you to observe enrollment, just so you can kind of see. Now, we plan to, okay? And then you should see at least 1 business partnership that first week, okay? Because that's the goal, and that is honestly the job of the supervisor, okay? To show a closed case when a new agent's with them, right? Get them very excited. By the second week, now you're more involved. And at this point, you should, with the manager there, partner with your first business, okay? Now, does this happen all the time? At first, not so much, but the more you talk about it, and again, we're in the business of repeating ourselves, and it's a mindset shape. Now it turns into a culture thing. Then all of a sudden, you do have essays that step up and they are closing every single week. We have some essays that are closing 2 to 3 a week. So, I mean, it's like amazing. And it's been like an 8-month kind of like turnover, but going into 2025, now it's like, now our closers are training closers. And oh my gosh, now we're like closing a lot. Like I think, minus last week, we were a little under 10, but we've been, averaging over 10 since the beginning of the year. So it's like, not bad. Okay.
Very good.
Thank you. Yeah, but it's that, so it starts in the hiring. We say this is how it's meant to be. Okay. And then in training class, how I have it structured is I do the morning of day 2. And I go over income like Tony, I don't know if you still do it on Fridays, which is fine, whatever the case may be, but I do it when I do the income part and I go over and basically I like to do it on day 2. And I'm not saying again, overhaul, but I'm just telling you what I do. Is because I tell them, hey, the reason you're learning this first part of partnering with businesses is I know you want to make money as soon as possible, good money, and you want to make it consistent as soon as possible. So me going over the income day 2, I want to get you excited about you partnering with your first business. And the quicker you get this presentation down and you get comfortable with it and you get it down verbatim and you have high activity, Mallory's going to come say hi now. Here, let her say hi.
Hey,
And that's Matt in Kansas City.
Oh, how are you guys doing? Good, I miss you all.
miss you. We're gonna come see you, I think, in May, and then of course we'll see you at convention.
Oh, yes. Oh, you, Tony, or wait, who?
Yeah, Tony's.
Oh,
I think me and some of the ADs and Deanne.
woo!
We're working
Yeah,
it out. We're working it out. Work in progress.
yeah.
Well, we'll be hanging out.
It'll be
Okay.
hot. It'll be very hot.
Well, your hair's not too big. That was always my concern.
Yeah.
You should have saw what my hair looked like the first couple months. Like these hair products, I can't get it figured out.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
They could all come to my home.
But anyways, and then you got the pods going or whatever?
Yeah,
And then-
it's almost done. And then I met with Mark.
Okay. Okay. When you get done, have them start route training because I want to be there when once I get done.
Oh.
When does the
Yeah,
feeder
they're all
stuff?
still in the pods.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay. Okay. Oh, I'm glad you guys got to see her.
I am too. That's awesome. She's doing
Okay.
great. She's #1 in her category right now this year, isn't she?
And it's category 4. So I see you guys still on my poster back there. Have a moment.
So I
I
guess
no,
training, go ahead and pick back up where you were on the training aspects as
we're
far
running
as
out of time.
my last note I took, which was really good, if I do say so myself, but it came from you, so that's why it's amazing. Your closers, start training your closers.
Yeah.
Like you got to the point where your people believed, okay, I can go out and close. And they started closing, and then those people became your trainers. So your closers started training closers.
Do you want to say hi?
Yeah. Matt,
Jacob Mallet, guys.
Hi
It's
guys.
Jacob!
How are you guys doing?
Oh, good to see you, man.
Good to see you too.
You're doing a good job. Proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely, my
Thanks,
friend.
guys, Ben, for the original opportunity. I mean, everything is clearly all worked out. So
You're
thank
doing the
you,
work,
Ben,
man.
for
Good
saying
job.
Oh, I'm glad you popped in.
that. Oh yeah, me too.
I wish Jazz was here, but he's a
Yeah.
trainer now, so lucky
Oh.
him.
I'm sure I'll make it back. I think.
Okay, so let's get back to closing because I know we all got other
Yep.
things we gotta do.
Yep.
So again, mindset, you talk about it with the leadership, okay? Because it is our expectation for supervisors is they never leave their area. and their job is just to close every single week, and you have somebody with you, and now you're trying to find your right-hand person that you can move up and develop with. So obviously they're motivated, like, okay, I got to show this person success. So they're, and if somebody's in their car, you're going to get the best potential out of them, if that makes any sense. So back to training class. So through the income part, we tell them by week 2, then I'm going to match it in training class when I do income. And I say, I'm going to go over what to expect your first case. And no, this isn't going to be your first paycheck or whatever, but when you first, so this can be as quickly as your second week in the field. We're going to show you success the first week. And then by the second week, you're going to partner with your first business. I just tell them that's how it's supposed to go. And it's amazing. And then it starts happening, right? Like, it's like you speak it into existence in a way, but like, they just don't, they don't know otherwise. But it has to, when they go out with their supervisors, the supervisors are matching that. Like, what you don't want to have happen is, because we had it, where it's like, oh, it could take you 3-4 months before you like really pick this up. If you're telling them that, they're going to believe that. You know what I mean? Like, just don't even say that. Like, why are we saying that it could take a really long time? Even if it took you a long time, like, this is your new person that you're influencing. So why would you influence them that way? Right. So again, mindset thing. But day 2 of, I go over the income and I say, if we, show you an enrollment, get you to 5%. Obviously, we've got to code people, so that gets them to code. Okay. First week with your supervisor, you're going to see at least one business partnership, and that's our plan for it. And you'll get compensated on that. That'll get you to 10%. And then by your second week, you should partner with your first business. That's going to get you to 15% and or 20%, depending on when it happens. Okay. So day 2, when I go over that income, I go over that and I use it as motivation. Get this down, because again, the quicker you become comfortable, you get this down, you're going to partner with your first business. And this is actually average case size. We're going to have you work with smaller companies from the beginning, because those are the ones that we partner with all day, every day. I don't want to say easier, but like the business owner's there. You're going to, you might do it on the spot and partner with them on the spot, although most of it comes from follows. Long story short, this is what it'll look like. And then they get excited. And I say, this is just like, you could have this type of paycheck by your third week at 15%. I show them the bonus at 15% or, 20%. And I'm like, and the idea is after that, then we just keep it going, because our process is you should be partnering with at least one business a week. So that's how you get consistent. Now, again, you're going to have some ups and downs with, everybody learns at different, but if that's the messaging, everybody's striving for that. And like, we're going to do a leadership to go over like the month of March. And then since the beginning of the year, how many supervisors actually closed, and it's getting closer. Like, I do have some people exceeding it, but I also have some people that are closing 3 a month. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that bad, honestly. Like, so it's like, it's going to keep getting better if all that messaging is the same. Does that make sense? But also, and I'll give you guys something that's really, really helped us. And I haven't shared this with any agency, but we kind of stole this idea from Natalie, but we did a competition day. We build it up. It started there. That's the idea I got from Natalie. Now we've changed it to competition week. Okay. And we do it. So the first one we ever did was in January. And let me tell you what ended up happening. So you preface it like at the beginning of the month, hey, whatever you guys decide is competition week. Hey, this third week in April, we're going to do competition week. Competition week is all about bringing your best. Okay. And I want you guys to be very strategic on it. And we have a point system and I can share it with you, but the whole thing is to close and enroll the next week. Okay. And that's the highest point system. And then if they close and enroll the next week, a referral business, it's like extra 100 points. And I can share the point system, but there's points for everything, just like you guys do on a weekly basis. Obviously, closing and enrolling is the heaviest point system. Then presentations, I think we have like on the spot or from an appointment or different point systems. Then we have appointments within 48 hours is a higher point system than appointments outside 48 hours. And then closing and enrolling 2 or more weeks out is a lower than closing and enrolling the following week. So it's putting all the focus obviously on closing. There's a little bit for AP, walk-ins, but basically whoever's closing the most that week usually wins, which is the goal. But I tell them ahead of time, I say, I want you to be strategic. Why? Because 85% of our businesses are going to come from follow-ups, right? So I want you guys to start like presenting, and even the ones that don't close, okay? But you know, you're going to have those follow-ups the week of competition week. And I want you guys to do all your presentations not closed. And it puts all the focus on being very strategic on closing, and enrolling next week. And this is what's crazy what's happened. The first one we did in January, we had our most closes in a week. The following week, we had the most AP we've ever written, obviously, because we had, and it wasn't, you know, the first one you do, you might not get all that much, but the more you do it and they start figuring out how to be strategic with it, it works. So, but that's why we had our best month ever in January. And then February, we didn't do it because I was like, man, it had so much success. I didn't want to do it every month and it not have like the same, but people like, it was crazy. The banter and all the fun stuff on GroupMe. February, we didn't do it. March was a 5-week month. We did it. And that was we just did a $96,000 week. That was after competition week. So like it happened in January and I didn't think it was going to be that big, but it just so happened it worked out that way. But then we had a $96,000 week followed by a $60,000 week. Like, so we followed up the 96 that with and it was because of all of these follow-ups coming through. So like, I don't know what and it's how you guys frame competition week and you advertise it and you make it a big deal. And then like what I would do on every day of the week, like I do a recap of where everybody's at and I make it like a sports recap and it's like, and people really get into it. But that has helped like just stir, and it's all about closing, you know, of like, you know, you just start getting people excited about that. And then obviously in the hiring process, you know, you talk about the leadership track, right? And for us, so Tony wanted me to cover this. The 3 things last year when I started, because there's a lot thrown at you as a new agency owner, was hiring as many people as I possibly can, closing as many cases as I possibly can, and promoting quick and as fast as I possibly can. So like, if I have any reason to promote somebody, like I promote them basically. Now, we do have some guidelines, but like supervisors, it's as simple as all you have to do is close 3 cases. Now it's solo, okay? But in the beginning, it was 3 cases. So we counted the one with their supervisor, the one they closed with their supervisor. Then they just have to close 1 more consistently. And then boom. And then, so we started there and that got us some supervisors. Then we moved it up. Well, they need to know how to enroll, right? Because so then it went 3 cases and then they have to know how to enroll, like just the verbiage of it, not managing enrollments all by themselves, but now you've got an extra enroller, right? Again, you have all these new people. The quicker you can get them to supervisors, I think you hold on to them better. So now this year it's 3 solo cases, like outside of field training. So that usually gets them to 5. Then they need to know how to enroll, just the verbiage. And then I ask them, they have to know how to windshield train. So I like verbally say, hey, tell me about windshield training. You know, what's the process of it? And you can just tell if they know, because I'm like, well, I can't put somebody in your car if you don't know how to windshield train. And it's just like a verbal conversation. You enroll me, then tell me about windshield training. And we know you have the closes. That makes them a supervisor. And then when they become a supervisor, it's all about finding your right-hand person, you know, somebody you mesh really well with, you guys can work together and start moving up. Like you identify your next supervisor. Now, in order for them to be a GA, they have to promote 2 essays. And ideally we want 15 cases. Okay. Ideally. But obviously we have to be, you know, if they're developing other leaders, that's essentially what a GA is doing, right? Developing other leaders. So you need 2. Why? Because you're going to take 1, leave 1. Okay. Now, when you become a GA, of course, both those essays can go back under you. but like the idea is two, and then that message goes on to, as far as you're a GA, now you're developing two other GAs. Why? Because you're going to leave one and take one. And we try to keep it as simple as that. And there's some case closes and, stuff like that. But especially that supervisor, if you just make it as, I don't want to say easy, but just very simple. Don't make it, I don't know. That's what we've done. And it's worked. And now I think we have like 14 essays. So, or maybe we have 15 now. It's a good problem when you start to lose track.
Problem when you can't remember. Exactly. No, that's great. So I know we're a little bit over. I want to, if you've got a couple minutes, let them ask their questions. And then we'll go from there. Number one, thank you for the time. I think this was great. I got lots of notes. I'm interested to see everybody else's notes and put it together. But I want to start with the ADs and let you guys ask a question, and then we'll try to get our way worked around the room and then wrap this up, and then the ADs.
It's on with the 80s.
Yep. Sorry. So then, I'll take the ADs myself and Deanne, and we'll go have a conversation. So, let me start.
Was this helpful? Are you?
Very helpful.
Of course.
I was being a little detailed, but
No. That's what we want.
you guys are where obviously I owe so much to, and it's just crazy. So anything that I'm just telling you how we did it. So,
No, you are doing an amazing job. Very, very proud of what everybody's doing in Tampa. And you stand on your own, Amanda. You're taking lessons that you learned here and different processes and systems and culture, and you're adding to it, right? But what you've added is phenomenal and the result. So I appreciate you sharing that knowledge, and I appreciate the kind words, but you're making it happen.
Thank you.
So
All right,
questions.
question.
So I know you said one question, but
So hit it.
I have two. But the first one, are your ADs only interviewing their own people?
No, we help each other out.
Okay, so then how do you manage that whenever they're calling their pipeline? Because what I heard was, I hired them, I stick with them through the study course. Do you continue to stick with them through the study course, even if it's not your person from the vendor?
So yes, they stick with them. Like
Okay.
if I hired them, even if it's John's person, I'm going to be that consistent person throughout.
Okay.
If now we've messed with it a little bit, let's say that's what's working for us. Okay. But we also have talked about, well, after I hire this person, put them in a three-way text. Cause obviously through the final, you're going to build up like, hey, Matt, Matt's great in Kansas City, even though I'm hiring you here in St. Louis, but let me put you in a three-way. He's going to take over from here. Like you guys could also, but I would do a three-way with that text message with that new hire. So then Matt can immediately take over from there. And it's like smooth messaging, not like, hey, Matt, we'll get back to you, and reach out. And then it's a couple days and then they feel that disconnect. Like keep it all very organized.
Perfect. And then the other question I had is, you are hiring a lot of people, and where are you coming up with these people? Are they all from your job
No.
app?
Maya is huge. Okay. I'm a huge fan. Okay. Now, what I would recommend, I would suggest getting back with them. They've updated so much with it. Like I'm getting 7 to 9 hires a week just from my RMS that I'm putting through it. So it's and yes, I'm in Tampa and I get that maybe, I don't know what, but I mean, St. Louis gets a decent amount. But something with Maya that I'm doing is we have taken the resume database and pulled it for the last, we just did 18 months, but we're putting through extra old resumes because it's all hands off. You just put it through Maya. Maya does all the hard work. You're going to get a couple jot forms. The people who, aren't interested, they're just, it's not like they're getting bombarded. So it's it's been working out great. If you don't like the messaging with Maya, just get with Eric and just tell him how you want it to go and they'll adjust your Maya. But something, I don't know if you guys were doing this, but you can change the name. You could literally change Maya to Deanne if Deanne's the one, or Sarah, if Sarah's the one calling, make Maya Sarah, and then Sarah, immediately calls as soon as it's going to do all that hard work for Sarah. And then Sarah just has to book the final. So Maya's huge. Okay. And then job cases. Job cases, I think we have, like Mallory has, I know at least 2, if not 3 job cases. And John has 1, but I have 2 GAs with, so we have probably 6 job cases all around the Tampa Bay area. Cause like you can put it an hour out, like Diana, your job case could be more like Chesterfield, and you can move it around, just to give like areas rest, and then like obviously Hunter's in Springfield or whatever, and like he can do over there, and like, but job case for the return on investment, I think we're sitting at like at most $90 a hire with job case doing it this way. So, but those are outside Maya. That's like you just get candidates, book them for a final. We already know they haven't watched the company overview unless they're virtual, right? So as soon as we see on the schedule this person's job case, we'll still ask them, have you watched the company overview? And well, let me so you feel more prepared for the interview. Let me, put you in this office and watch it real quick before meeting with Diana. And then it kind of just works out great.
Terry,
So just to be clear on, for ADs, are they only in the office doing interviews 1 day a week then? And then the rest?
No, Mallory does 2 full entire days, and
Okay.
now she's actually switching to 3 entire days. So she's going to do Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday all day in the field. Now, or excuse me, in the office for hiring. Okay. My other AD, he does a day and a half. He does Thursday afternoon and all day Friday. And then I have 2 GAs that are already, like, they don't do a ton of finals on Friday because they still have to certify, they have to recertify, still have to run training on Friday, but they'll, like, when we get super busy, they'll take finals. But they're doing finals on Friday.
how many GAs and essays does Mallory have that's getting her in the office 3 days?
Well, she has 2 GAs, but she's about to go to 5. Like we're about to promote. We have like on her team alone, I mean, she's got at least 7 or 8 essays, I think, but a lot of them are like right there to be GAs. Like we're about this second quarter we have a ton of like promotions happening.
Good, okay, nice. Any follow-up, Terry? Okay, Deanne?
Yeah, how are your ADs doing that interview a time frame wise? So when do you have that person come in about 15 minutes early, so you give that window for that CLB? AD meets with them. Are they getting through that interview and setting them in the study program within that half hour?
No. So now they don't come in 15 minutes
Now you're
early.
talking my language, Amanda.
Yeah, well, we tell them, like, when you're solidifying the interview, we're like, if you can come 15 minutes, we have a little bit of paperwork. Half the people don't, okay? Which it doesn't matter. They show up for their interview, they watch 20 minutes, so we're not really starting the final till 20 minutes later. Then it does take a half an hour to get through everything. If they are a hire, then it makes it like 45 minutes. But keep in mind, like, so for us, like right now, and this is again an area of improvement for us. We only have like a 46% show ratio on finals. So, which is in my eyes kind of low. Like there's area of opportunity there, but just to kind of give you just numbers from, like, I'll give you the one from while I was away at the AO, I did no interviews at the AO spring meeting. We had 64 finals through the week. And we had 29 of them show up. I don't know what that percentage is. And then of the 29, we hired 21 of them. We like just need them to show up for their final, and those other 8, maybe they couldn't pay for their study course on the spot or whatever the case may be. Now that was a decent week that we had 21 hires without me even contributing, which is great. But like for them showing up, we're getting close, like on a good week, close to 50%. So keep in mind, like, will you have it where 3 people show up? Yeah. And actually last week I hired 2 people. I did a final interview with 2 people. And then I had, because they both showed up at the same time. So like, but I would rather have that than me sitting here twiddling my thumbs. You know what I mean? Like waiting on the next one, which I know you guys aren't, you're doing something else. But the point being, like, I would rather have too many people coming through and then waiting a little bit than you know. But also on Friday, obviously, Thursdays and Fridays are a big hire day. You know, that's when we get the GAs involved and, you know, and then I'm also here with my AD. So like we help each other out with each other's schedule, you know, we all work together with it.
Well, and 46% is kind of that math on that 64 versus 20. But what's impressive is you're at about a 70 to 80% show to hire ratio when the final does show, right? So I know you're going to work on that 50% until you won't be happy until it's at least 60, and then we'll go from there. But that number of the fact that you're hiring the people to show, that's well, I would venture to say it's better than if you had a 60% of those people showing and you're only hiring half of them. That's
Yeah.
not right.
Well, keep in mind, that was a good week. Typically, when they show, we're at like 60%, but it's still
Okay.
not bad. I mean, I think we have area of opportunity there too, but the reason I like every half hour is you need more finals to make up for the no-show portion. You know what I mean? Like, it's just going to happen. Half the people just won't show up and don't understand it, but
Okay, so then Derek,
I just want to clarify, so wherever you try to do one full day in the office and you book a final every 30 minutes, and then sometimes whenever they do show up, Jason asks them whether or not they've seen the CLB. If they didn't see the CLB, then she hasn't watched the CLB, they're gonna take 20 minutes. Why not? How's in that script or schedule if you have every 30 minutes, you have a final?
when half of them don't show, it works out.
Oh, gotcha.
Like, think about it. Yeah,
Even when they all show, is my question.
Then she interviewed.
that she did two finals at once.
She did, just like you would enroll.
Well, it's interesting. We were talking, Amanda, at the meeting to Blake Gaither, right? Blake Gaither does group finals.
well, that's what gave me the idea last week.
Yeah, but
Because I had these
I
two,
digress on that.
yeah, I had these two sharp women came in, and one like Maya booked automatically, and then one was one of our job case, and they were both ready to meet with me. And I was thinking, I'm like, if I let somebody sit here for 45 minutes, they're gonna leave, you know? So what I did was I said, hey, where do you live? Where do you live? I sat him in my office and I said, hey, I just want to let you know we're a new office, we're growing. I'm looking for representatives where you live, and I'm looking for representatives where you, and now I'm not saying you're both going to be hired, but I just want to tell you you're not competing against each other in this interview, but I just want to meet with you so you can get to know me a little bit. And I'm going to go over what our weekly schedule's like, licensing and training and compensation together. And then I'm going to meet with you guys one-on-one. So like that repetitive part of the final, I just did together with both of them. And then I said, like, it was Jenny and Naomi. And I was like, Jenny, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you out in the waiting room. I'm going to give you our vision magazine so you can see more of like our company culture and everything while I meet with Naomi for a few minutes. And then I'm going to meet with you in about 10, 15 minutes. So I sat her out here, and then I hired Naomi, put her through the study course, and then she left, and then Jenny came in, and I did the same thing. So like, yes, was a little bit crazy, but you know, that was because they came in literally almost at the same time. And I was like, oh crap, what am I going to do? But it's so weird how for the most part, it works itself out. But keep in mind, when you guys are doing finals, like Tony, for the most part, will be there too. You know, and I know Matt, your situation is going to be slightly different, but you know, like you guys can help each other out. Like, hey, can you grab this final? Like, hey, you know, I've got somebody waiting in the, you know, and if you do,
If you have three finals booked at the same time, inevitably one of them's not going to show, right? So then if we double up on a time, the one that's a no-show can slide into. So there's some options there. That's good. All right. Anything else, Derek?
On Friday, you said yeah, it's a field day, but you had the GAs come in, and you said you also have agents that are not field certified. They also come to the office on Fridays. And did you say that you guys recertify them every single week?
So they
On
certify.
Fridays? Until they're
yeah, every week until we're tightening up on this, but we are seeing them, we're managers with them. We see them close. Once that happens, they're supposed to be field certified. So now, sometimes because of necessity, we do release people a little bit early, although we don't want to do that. But I'm just saying, ideally, yes, that's how it goes. So we certify that they come in at 8:30 in the morning on Friday. Everybody starts pack calls because they need to get to 160. While the pack calls, the GA is pulling one person at a time to recertify on their team. They're not recertifying somebody from another team because all GAs are in. The essays and the agents that are released are in the field. Like, again, because our essays are going to be our consistent closers all the time. So they're in the field, but the GAs recertify in the morning. After lunch, we do kind of like product training and then like sometimes Section 125 training with those people. And then after that, the training class gets done. And in the afternoon, the GAs are certifying the people out of training class. Okay. Now, any downtime in between that, the GA sitting in on a final interview, if we can make that work out. And then once they're ready, we're like, hey, you know, during this hour gap, if that final shows up, how about you run that final and I'm going to sit in on it. So that's kind of what that Friday schedule looks like.
Okay, that makes sense. Hunter, question?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I understand this correctly. So that means on Fridays, the SA and the agents are completely out in the field. They're not partaking in any of the actual training at the office because that's for the new agents, right? That have been field certified.
Yep.
All right, and then I was curious on the interview process. So the COBs that you have online and everything, when they actually did go for a final, and you ask, man, did you write your COB, the overview of the company? And if they say, no or yes, then you just hop into the final either after, if you have to get the COB again. Is there ever a time where you're doing like a one-on-one and then you're setting up for the final for like another day, or are you just trying to like run it all together into one interview? So you don't do any one-on-ones? Okay, no.
Like a CLB one-on-one.
One-on-one
Oh.
for review CLB.
The only time that happens is usually on Zoom when we send it ahead of time and then they hop on and I'm like, did you watch the company overview? And they're like, no. When they should have, because it was said when they were booked and the email was sent, but they just happened to not watch it. And you can kind of tell because I'll be like, you know, I'm from Ohio and like I just recently came from St. And they're like deer in the headlights. I'm like, that's okay. I'll just go over, you know, I want you, you know, and then I just kind of go over that part. But ideally, you don't want to have to repeat yourself over and over and over again, if that makes sense. So.
I got a thought for you on that too, Amanda. We'll talk off a different Zoom here on how we get a higher percentage of people to watch the video now, but okay. Anybody else want to ask a question? Danielle.
Hi, Amanda. Good to see you. I'm glad you're doing well. So I think I'm gonna ask the question that's the elephant in the room regarding scheduling. So we've heard kind of your AD schedule, a little bit of your GA schedule. With your SA and your GA, what more does that look like? SAs in the field all day, every day, Tuesday through Friday, in their own area, you said, right? They don't leave it. So then week 2, when the agent is going to close their own case, who is with them?
That's ideally the GA.
Okay.
Yep.
So then the GA.
Ideally, yep.
Got it. And then as this will come up, because you guys are takeover, you said you all close new cases. You don't have a lot of re-enrollments.
We have some, but it's majority new.
How are you going to balance that in the coming year? Because that's kind of the biggest struggle when it comes to the middle management right now, of keeping clients happy, keeping them on the books, but then also still kind of helping agents or SAs close.
Yeah, it's a balance. It's definitely a balance. So like with new agents, as long as they've seen a close, like, and again, I'm not advocating this is how it should be, but you guys got to just try to make it work. We kind of did it in St. Louis where have an agent out by, if you have to go do a re-enrollment, have that agent either come to that enrollment or have them out in the field by themselves for a half a day. They're not certified, but you can have them, you know what I mean? Like, again, do what you need to do to make it all work. You know, it's not an ideal thing. But you know, obviously the idea is you have more people coming through. You just don't want somebody who we haven't physically seen them close a case. We don't want them out in the field by themselves for an entire week or multiple days in a row. But again, if you have to do it and you can, you know, that sometimes happens. Or you can keep that new agent with that essay if there's like, hey, there's no way this week, but like clearly this person does not have the skills to close by themselves. Like they're just more timid or whatever. They barely got involved. Okay, then just have them stay with the essay even during that second week. They can close their first case and do the whole presentation in the essays area. You know, like that essay is trying to find their right-hand person too, you know, but as much as you can, you don't want to take that essay out of their area. Why? Because those are going to be your consistent closers. Like if you have 14 essays, I mean, 15 essays, we should have 15 cases every single week at a bare ass minimum. Then everybody that we're adding, and obviously I just mentioned we're at like 10 plus, but like we're close So, you know,
Well, and it comes down to a manpower thing too. I think to Danielle's point, more cases, if your agency's bigger next year, you can handle more cases too. So like when, for us, as we reload or rebuild, our caseload is still larger, right? So it's that division of, we gotta take care of existing business, we gotta get new business. As things grow, you have delegatory options. When you don't have that, you have to do it all, right? Amanda's in a position of, she's got 3 ADs, about to have a 4th AD, right? She's got like 6 GAs and 15 SAs. That's a lot of delegatory people to handle a lot of shit, right? So it's a different perspective. So all of it runs through the growth of recruiting. You heard her, the number one thing is you gotta have the people in order to develop the options for you to source through, right? Okay. I know we're 4 minutes. You get it 1:30, Amanda?
yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Dylan, you got a question?
Yeah, I just got a really easy question. What's your average turnaround on getting someone field certified?
3-4 weeks. Like if you, again, it's a mindset thing and you talk about it through the hiring. Like we've had people close their first presentation the first week out in training, not all the time, but I'm telling you, it starts with the mindset and just like aligning the essays as well. Like I would have that conversation with your essays. Do you believe you can close the case every single week? It's okay if you don't, but my job as a leader is to get you that confidence up. Like you should. This is meant for you to close every week. You know, like, so let's talk through that. Why do you not think that you can close every week? Well, blah, 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 and get to the root cause of it. A lot of it's route inspection, right? Like if we areas of opportunity, but for the most part, we have really nailed down route inspection. So if you do that and you have essays showing cases and again, closing more, guys, I'm telling you, people are going to pick up on closing faster and you're going to get them field trained faster.
Bailey?
I mean, I feel like, I don't know, like she has Maya, but like, what if we don't have a Maya? Like Maya's obviously doing fabulous for you, but it sounds like for us, we don't.
Well, I do have a meeting I'm gonna be having with Eric. He reached out to me, so I'm open to have a conversation there. But there's a multitude of, so don't get hung up on the vendor. There's a multitude of vendors, right? It's about getting to the set number and we're working on that. Then once we get the sets, it's about like our set show, I feel good. We're gonna work on pipeline and we're gonna work on these kind of things in the study course, right? So outside of get more people in the door, is there anything question wise?
You might just need more callers. I mean, I don't know. Do you have the plethora of people to book for finals and maybe we just don't have enough callers to book up everybody's schedule? Like where that needs to be, that, you know, that could be a solution to that. I mean, I don't know, but I just
Have enough interview times. That's the issue. That's more the issue than not having enough candidates. Between me and Sarah and the emails and all of that, I just don't have enough interview times.
So it's
so you're booking up everybody's schedule just fine. You just need more. Right. So like, then I would go.
But most of the time it's like I'm running out of times or they're not available that day. So I'm booked up all 2 days straight and then the next days are light. So it varies.
Okay. Then there might just need to be more. I mean, yeah, I don't know if I really have an answer to that other than like make them every half hour. And
Right. If it's down to like Thursdays and Fridays, that would be a better way for us to be able to get those days just slammed out, just nothing but.
Mhm.
It would open up more opportunity for those days to be filled rather than it be a hit and miss.
okay. So we will have debate. Christy.
One question is, when do your essays have the opportunity, like what does their Monday look like? Because that's the only day they have the opportunity to prepare with hat calls for their new opportunities in the field. So what does that schedule look like on Monday for your essays?
Well, they're pack calling from 9:30 to 11:30. Then we have the webinar at 12:30. And then right after that, we do training. And then right after that, they do routes. And then they start doing checkouts, which is like route inspection of their people, but they're really involved in packs. But keep in mind, because I would look at data, like your guys's, and hover over walk-ins for your essays and see if they're at 60-40. Because I had an epiphany at the AO meeting with Tony, was sitting next to me with Natalie when I asked this question. So she keeps people in an area for 13 weeks, no matter what. Like, she doesn't move people around. And I'm like, if you're in an area for 13 weeks, like, you have way more follow-ups. But their closes are up. She said that it's 30% new to 70% follow-ups. So, I mean, do you need that many pack calls if you have that many follow-ups? You know what I mean? But if you're doing all those, I think there is some training and opportunity in getting essays more comfortable with follow-ups, right? Not just trying to find the low-hanging fruit. And like, so there's, just something to think about there. But because I was wondering, because our best close months, we were at like 65-45, and then like, or no, I'm sorry, 55-45 one month. So 55 new to 45% fall. I noticed our follow-up was getting heavier the more closes that we had. And then I was like, and I kept advertising, guys, let's keep an eye on this. We want it to be 60-40, like keep more new than follow-ups. But then after talking to Natalie, I'm like, well, maybe there's something to that. Maybe the essays need more follow-ups. Like, think about it. If you have more good stuff, you're going back, but we don't want to get in follow-up circles. You still have the 30, you still need new. So I'm thinking more like 40% new to 60% follow-up. Like, maybe not 30-70, but you get the point. You know what I mean? Like, just something to think about.
Okay, I think we got.
One last question.
Go ahead.
Amanda, you said you nailed down the route inspections. So for your new agents, I'm sure that they do packs on Monday, but you also said you have them do it on Friday too. So that gives them more packs. That way, where they do route inspections on Monday, they have more leads already. They have more time to research. So whenever you do those inspections, how those routes are graded. That help on that?
Yeah. Yeah. And with the route and guys, our route inspection isn't perfect. I still catch people that I'm like, I thought you did this inspection, but you want to look at it and make sure that they're set up for, it's a route that they could actually go out there and sell some insurance, close a case. So like, don't have 20 doctor's offices, make sure the business is just all the typical stuff, no home addresses and all that, start and end, it's like, and we have the whole route inspection checklist, but then my GAs are doing a really good job keeping track of presentations not closed. And like, when are you going back to this one? Like, you presented to this guy this past week, like, what's the follow-up? And then, obviously part of our closing is like, if you need to follow up, do you have a hard follow-up date? And like, hey, I'm going to come follow up with you in person. You give me the red light, green light, and if we're go with this, and that's helped. But just like staying on top of making sure those presentations not closed are in those routes too. So, but honestly, that might be a better question. The route inspection with like Mallory, which we could do a call with, but that kind of gives you a general overview.
No, that's good. Do you have one last one?
Yes.
Okay, last question.
A really short one. Since you have pared down your final to be half an hour pretty consistently, can we see one? Can you record like a practice one so that we can see that, because we're all very long-winded over here?
Yeah, I'll just record. I wonder if I do have one recorded. One of my GAs might have recorded me already. Let me see if I can find it and I'll send it to you. If not, then I'll either record myself or I'll figure out some way to do it.
Best, Amanda. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. Go ahead. Anyone have any last minute final question for
I'm gonna call you.
Yes, call me. I'm here for you guys.
So
All right.
Amanda, thank you very, very much. I appreciate you. I'll reach out to you this week. Want to go over something I think that might, we made a tweak in, we got tired of hearing people say, oh no, I never saw that. So we made a tweak in our CLB that it's